The base has dropped on not quite a frozen Atlanta, Georgia. School's out for rain, like not even that cold of rain, but I think it's supposed to. Well, but this is the thing. It's school was canceled for today because it's raining. Yes, it's going to get really cold later, and yes, that brings up black ice and frozen roads and all kinds of stuff. That would be tomorrow. So are we going to cancel school for 2 days because of rain and then cold and some ice? Is that where we're at now?
Yes.
All right. Well, just checking. Soccer down here, Tuesday Thoughts. Jason Longshore, John Nelson with you on January 29th. If you know your transfer windows, you know that there's a couple more days in the current one for the major European leagues, and that means sheer and utter chaos is ensuing all over the continent of Europe, all over other continents as well, because it spreads everywhere. Atlanta United, MLS are definitely part of this, and it's only going to continue. Lots of updates to catch you up on from the rumor front. Not a ton of actual news outside of our friends in Minnesota last night who made a huge deal. Ike Opara, 2017 MLS Defender of the Year, is now a Loon. Got him for about $1 million in allocation money from Kansas City. I believe it's $900 million up front, or $900,000, $900 million. That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. 900, yeah, you know what I mean. 1 million total if it gets done in this way. And I'm trying to pull up right now what the extra 100,000 is. 900,000 in TAM. 1 million if certain incentives are met. It's triggered if the Loons make the playoffs in 2019. So that's an interesting one. Do the Loons make the playoffs in 2019, adding Ike Opara?
Oh boy, that's close, and that 7 makes it that much closer than I would have anticipated. All right, so let's see here. We know about the gaggle at the top. We figure.
Well, who is the gaggle at the top in the West?
Well, I'd go Sporting, Portland, Seattle, LAFC would be my top 4. And then you're looking at
those completely and utterly separated from the rest of the pack.
Sporting maybe, but by a nose.
They just traded their best center back. I
know. That's why I'm kind of about my thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I will retreat back to my gaggle point of view for the 4, and then looking at it, Real 5, Galaxy, Houston. Yeah, I mean Minnesota's right there at that 6, 7, 8. I mean, I'd have them at 8, but that's they're there. They're right there. They're on the verge. They're on the cusp.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I've been fighting it for a while. I'm going to go ahead and make a bold proclamation that the Minnesota United Loons are going to make the playoffs in 2019, and Adrian Heath will keep his job. I think they put together a good squad.
I was going to say, did this acquisition put it over the top for you?
I was close without it, but they needed another center back. They still need to figure out goalkeeper. Is Shuttleworth going to be the guy? He could be. I'm not anti-Bobby Shuttleworth, but if you can upgrade at goalkeeper, then I think, you're making the playoffs. Because, you're looking at this type of lineup. You're looking potentially at Metzner on one side of your back line, Ike Opara, and either Coleman or Boxall in the middle. Calvo can move over to left back. That's a pretty solid back line. Midfield, you are looking at Osvaldo Alonso, Jan Grey Goose as your 2 holding. Grey Goose will be more of the box-to-box. Alonso will sit and be your 6 and protect those center backs. You're getting Ethan Finley and Kevin Molino back out wide. Maybe Molino as a 10. These are the questions that the talent's there. Now Adrian Heath doesn't have any more excuses.
Nope.
Because he's got some tough decisions. Do you keep Calvo as a center back? Do you move him outside? Can Metanire play on the left side and you keep the youngster Carter Manley going as a right back? Do you play 3 in the back? You could do that with Calvo, Boxall, Opara. Metanire could be a wing back. Do you have another wing back? Could Ethan Finley be a wing back for you? How do you get the attacking group together? Is it, beyond Alonso and Grey Goose, which I think is your rock, is it Miguel Ibarra? Is it Romario Ibarra? Is Molino out wide or is he central? Ethan Finley, is he going to be ready to step back in straight away? Darwin Quintero up top, but does he play if it's a 3-5-2? Do you play him as a second forward next to Angelo Rodriguez? The talent is there now. I think Adrian Heath is going to find the right combination to get the most out of it because he has some options. You could play 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 with this group. You could play 3-5-2 with this group. Both are definitely on the table. This is the most talented team they've had by far. It's not even close. Nope. I think that will get them into the playoffs. I think it's going to get them into a game on the road. I don't think they're going to host a playoff game, but I think they do get into the playoffs, and I think Adrian Heath has enough to work with. And the flip side is this. If they are at midseason and in a bad shape, it's time to go. And that's what's going to happen now at this point because there are no more excuses about talent in Minnesota when you add an Ike Opara after already adding Osvaldo Alonso, Jan Grey Goose. You're getting Kevin Molino back. You're getting Ethan Finley back from injury. You get a full year of Darwin Quintero. Abu Danladi might make that step up. Mason Toy could make that step up. Angelo Rodriguez, you brought him in to replace Christian Ramirez. Not bad in year one, but we got to see more of it now. So I think the talent's there. I think they do make the playoffs. Maybe a little bit of a bumpy ride early as Adrian Heath kind of figures out what his best group is and gets guys like Molino and Finley back playing. Both of them missed a lot of time last year due to injury. Are they going to be able to step in day one and be that guy? We're going to find out. It's going to be fun to watch. Minnesota is the team that I'm maybe the most intrigued by going into 2019.
And you've got a new building, and you've got to show out in the new building, and you've got to have that thing packed with all the investment that you've made. And so now you make this kind of an investment. So I think this is that chips to the center of the table moment. And if you end up with a bad hand or a hand that doesn't win you the pot, then I think Heath's out of there. I mean, it's now or never now.
Yeah, we have to be fair to our listeners north of Atlanta as well, as Thomas Chewin points out. There is a forecast showing snow north of town. I think way north of town, yes. You've got snow. I think you have snow now, or you have snow coming down now. The northern edge of the perimeter, I don't know if there's a huge difference, but yeah, everybody canceled school for no reason, I think. Or at least, I don't know. Maybe it was they canceled it for the Super Bowl. Who knows? It's ridiculous, but that's where we're at.
New England fans will find a reason to complain about everything this week.
Well, see, that's the thing is you have all the media in town now, so you're going to get all kinds of comments about they canceled snow because of rain. What's wrong with Atlanta? That's what we're going to
canceled because of ice.
Well, there's none of that yet or even close. It's not even that cold out there right now. But anyway.
Nope.
We'll see. If they cancel tomorrow because of black ice, then I'm going to be really laughing hysterically because that's what we would be looking at here.
Yes.
Okay. We've talked Minnesota and the big news of yesterday. Let's talk about the rumors because there's a bunch of them. Article in the Northern Echo by Scott Wilson. The Northern Echo is covering Newcastle United. It's not very positive about Newcastle United at the moment because Scott Wilson reports that Inter Milan and Napoli reps have met with Miguel Almiron's agent, Daniel Campos. This report, it backs up the earlier reports about Newcastle having personal terms agreed on with Miguel Almiron, but the clubs just can't get the price tag. They can't get the transfer fee sorted out. Scott Wilson says that Newcastle is more than £5 million off of the price Atlanta United has asked for. No official offers from Italy yet, according to this report. More talks scheduled. Tottenham's linked to a summer pickup window, which means nothing, of a Valencia midfielder, Carlos Soler, for £30 million. Yeah, right. That's my reaction. So when you're in the championship because you didn't spend any money and Rafa Benitez is gone, then you're going to spend £30 million. Okay, sure. We'll see. We'll keep up with Italy. We'll keep up with Inter Milan, now linked to Miguel Almiron, because it's silly season and it's going to continue. Leandro Gonzalez-Perez talked to our friend Doug Robertson of the AJC yesterday. Couple quotes from the article about the alleged interest from Boca Juniors. He said, "I'm very happy here. Boca is a big challenge in my country. Whatever they decide, it's okay. I'm trying to think about here. Now I'm playing for Atlanta United. This is the most important for me. It's a big club that wants me, but I'm trying to think here." He is in the last year of his contract, as Doug points out. He is on a TAM deal right now. There's a lot of room in that number to keep him on a TAM deal. You're going to have to obviously pay more TAM, but to keep him TAM, not have to go to designated player, there's a lot of room for a raise that would keep him in that category. This is going to get interesting. He didn't close the door on it like I thought he might have. Could just be playing the good negotiator, especially if his agent is talking with the club about a new deal. You got to keep all your options open. You got to keep all those possibilities open. So maybe a little surprised because of LGP's past with River Plate that he was so open to it, John, but not a shock here. I mean, this is smart at this point of the game for LGP.
And this is what you want to do when you are doing well as an athlete and teams express interest in you. I know that rivalries add that extra level and that extra level of interest, but when the arch rival comes over and says they're interested, I mean, you have to listen. I mean, it's bad business not to listen in these kinds of situations. And yes, I know that one way or the other that, you know, when you're thinking about these kinds of things, I know that rivalry is that big element. But once again, somebody comes knocking on your door that just so happens to be the flip side of that rivalry that you grew up in, then as an adult, yeah, you're going to listen. Bottom line to me.
Yeah, this isn't Auburn, Alabama, though. This is a little different. It's not quite Rangers Celtic, but it's Rangers Celtic has the religious issues between moving back and forth between the clubs. That's why it's so incredibly rare. But it doesn't happen much. It's Real Madrid, Barcelona. You know, Luis Figo had a pig's head thrown at him when he went to Real Madrid and played against Barcelona. That happened. It's that type of rivalry. We don't really. I don't think we have a comparison. I mean, you don't see the movement between college teams as much, although you are now. But, you know, Yankees, Red Sox, it's a little weird, but Johnny Damon didn't have things thrown at him that way. You know what I mean? So,
although Alabama people did poison trees.
Well, no, that's a rivalry. That's not a fan switching his allegiance. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about somebody not moving back and forth. So you're not going to see many players transfer and go from Auburn to Alabama because they're not going to allow it. You don't see many coaches go back and forth. We're talking about players moving. So a player who not just grew up as a fan of River Plate, but actually grew up at River Plate, played for River Plate. It's not as common for them to go to Boca Juniors. He keeps the option open in this interview. I think it's part of negotiating a new deal. This is an interesting time because there are probably other players who are going into the final year of their deal, and there are decisions to be made because you launch a team with the talent that Atlanta United launched with. You got some guys that outperform their contract, and you could say that Leandro is one of those. Are you going to be able to give him a raise and keep him? Do you have the allocation money available to do that? Then you have to make the decision on, do you want to do that? Do you want to go out and find another center back who could be that? And there is a center back who is linked to Atlanta United at the moment, and this has popped up pretty quickly. Florentine Pogba. Yes, he is Paul's brother. He is linked to Atlanta United from L'Equipe, because it's actually got I had seen an earlier rumor that didn't have good sourcing to it, so I was a little reluctant to even go here. But L'Equipe has it, and L'Equipe is a very credible outlet. He has been training with Elche in Spain. He left training reportedly to talk to Atlanta United. 28 years old, Guinean international. He played for Saint Etienne. The rumors are a 1-year deal. He was ready to sign with Elche after going through a trial with them, but now it looks like he's going to leave and come to Atlanta. This is according to reports from France. That's pretty recent. So, is it possible? Sure. It'd be extra cover at center back? Sure. It's an extra international. International slots are something you have to think about. I think you can and get it worked out. That's probably the least of the concerns. Don't know what kind of salary it would be. It wouldn't be designated player money. Probably Tam Gam type of level here. What else do you know about him?
That he wrapped up last season with a team that was fighting relegation in the Turkish league. And I'm trying to figure out the pronouncer here. I'm just going to say Gençler Birliği. And toward the end of the season, he was involved in how do we phrase a big to-do? It was a bit of a scrum during a match where he was injured, limping off, and was taking off his kit and was literally walking to the dressing room. But it was in a match as they were fighting relegation, and then the team captain, realizing that Pogba is just walking off and he's done, would mean that they'd be left with 10 players. They're out of subs. So the captain confronts Florentin Pogba, and he's like, dude, what are you doing? You know, you have hands raised, gesticulating, all this kind of stuff. Pogba actually walks back into the screen, and you can see this. beIN Sports Turkey had the video. Pogba actually walks back into the screen to confront the captain, and they both have to be separated by about 10 guys. So you have that kind of emotion with Pogba in the Turkish league last year. Then he had the trial that was supposed to be a week at Elche, and you've got Elche fan sites and all this kind of stuff saying that he's going to Atlanta United. But with the news from L'Equipe, you have to turn your head and pay attention.
Yeah, you got to keep up with this one. So stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break. It's Tuesday Thoughts, so we'd love to hear your thoughts. Use that hashtag, tweet at us at Soccer Down Here. We have a question from Trains to kick off the next segment. So go ahead and buckle up and get ready for that one. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here, January 29th edition. Tuesday thoughts. Silly season thoughts aplenty, because that's what we do on silly season. Trains with a question/thought. What player do we let walk on their last year of their deal? Who would be the player who could solve all these problems by having their salary off the books? All these problems, there's not a player who could solve all these problems, because you have the designated player problems that there's only 4 guys that are affected by that. It's Almiron, it's both Martinez's, and it's Barco. One has to go. That's a whole separate issue. So that's the biggest problem right now. We don't know who's in the last year of their deal. That's one thing that is frustrating. We've talked about it before, about MLS and the way that they talk about contracts and things. We don't know. So, I mean, we didn't know for sure that LGP was in the last year of his deal until Doug's article yesterday. So, I don't know who else could be. I know there's a player that Trains is not a fan of who is on a TAM deal, who I would guess would be in the last year of their deal. Now, the problem with that, and we're talking about Chris McCann, who was brought here on a big number and hasn't played enough to live up to that number. You know, he's been a key reserve, but not a starter. And generally, a TAM player is going to be a starter for you. The problem that we don't know is some deals are guaranteed, so that player is going to get paid. Some deals, if you move them or release them before the end of the season, or before the beginning of the season, you can get out of that deal. I don't know who is in that situation and who isn't. And we have no way to know that. So, see, Gwen doesn't know either. It's just pure speculation. There's no way to know. The other thing that's just difficult about this is we don't know how much TAM or GAM that the team has, because there's no way to know. So we don't know if they need to make a move to have more TAM or GAM to re-sign a player to a new deal. We don't know if they actually have TAM GAM stored up and they can use it. We don't know. That's the frustrating thing here. So yesterday, NBA, big story was Anthony Davis says he's not going to re-sign with New Orleans. He's basically given them, a year and a half to do something. They can keep him and see what they get out of the next year and a half and ride out the contract. He says he's not re-signing. They can trade him before this trade deadline. They can try to deal him in the summer. We know what that looks like. I mean, to the degree that immediately the experts were breaking down, well, right now he can't go to Boston because they have Kyrie Irving on this type of contract, so they couldn't add Anthony Davis in a trade on this type of contract. They're out of the picture. That was immediate. That was known. In a big deal in the NBA, that was immediately known as, nope, okay, it could be anybody here. It can't be this team because of this. We have no idea in Major League Soccer how to have this conversation. It's a valid question from Trains because you're dealing with a salary cap league. Is there a player that you could move off your books to give you more flexibility to re-sign an LGP, to re-sign somebody else, to sign a new deal with somebody? I don't know. I mean, I'm throwing my hands up. I have no idea because there's no way to know contract lengths, terms of them, when they end, how much TAM and GAM the team has to work with. We don't know any of these things. So it is kind of a guessing game. The problem when you have a guy, and we'll talk in general terms about somebody in the last year, going into the last year of their deal, the one thing to always keep in mind in that situation is when they get into that transfer window right before they're out of contract, when it's 6 months out, they can sign a pre-contract with a new team to leave at the end of the contract. So they can go ahead and sign their next contract, still finish out the current deal, but sign the next deal, and they're gone on a free you get nothing. We know that much when we know a guy's in the last 6 months of their deal. That's all we know, John.
Because all we hear is a long-term deal. I mean, it's as far back as I can remember in dealing with players with Atlanta United. He's on a long-term contract. No years of specificity, and you're kind of left trying to pick breadcrumbs up from sources to figure out what the financing is in all of this. And the way that you have long-term contracts figured out, it's like, yeah, it's a long-term deal, but if a team comes by and says in the timing of that particular contract, yeah, we'd like this particular individual, you have those discussions. But all we have ever heard, as far back as I can remember, when it comes to Atlanta United players, is long-term contract. That's it. So we're left with more questions than answers when it comes to dealing with, all right, so how much of a term is a long-term deal, and what the salary figures are, and where the GAM and the TAM are, and all this kind of stuff. So it's just trying to piece information together, but we rarely have the information that we need.
We never have the information that we need. We never truly know. So it's a tough thing. I think Tenorio explained it pretty well in his giant piece about contracts and TAM and GAM and all of it. The league has made a decision that they feel like it helps them in negotiation. It helps them both with teams making deals, trading within the league, and also dealing with teams outside the league. It helps them to not have as much information out there publicly. So they take the hit on the media conversation and the fan conversation around the speculation because they feel like it helps them from a business sense. I don't know if it really does. I'm not involved on that side of it. So maybe it does and it's worth the trade-off. But I think you've seen other leagues benefit from having a more open discussion about the situation. I just always think of the NBA where the trade deadline was nothing in the NBA. It didn't matter until recently, where you have all this information and you can have these types of discussions. The way the contracts have worked out, too, the league just, a little bit about the way the players have decided to move and jump around from team to team a little bit more has helped as well, obviously. But the fact that you can have an informed discussion, and now you're going to have, I think the trade deadline is February 7th, you're going to have nonstop NBA talk about, does Anthony Davis move before the trade deadline? Where does he go? Who can give the best package? It's a huge part of the conversation around the league. I wish we could have a deeper conversation about this in MLS. We just can't. And we have to wait for breadcrumbs to come out about, okay, it's the last year of LGP's deal. So now you know that. Now what? And Shiva has a question about it, and I want to get your thoughts on it, John, first. How do you think losing LGP would affect the chemistry? And I'm gonna change your tenses a little bit, Shiva, because this is all pure speculation at the moment.
Right.
How do you think losing LGP would affect the chemistry? He seems to be the connection between Lavanda and the rest of the squad. What do you think?
I think it would take a hit because you think about the off-the-field photographs, and we see him seeming to be the ringleader of all of these things. And the on-the-field element to me, I go back to Open Cup, and there was the match at Fifth Third. He's in a baseball cap, and he's kind of in huddles, and he's in circles, and he's constantly moving, and he's constantly talking. And it's rare to have those individuals on your side to do that, and to have someone like LGP wandering in, giving input, being supportive, being there on the pitch and off the pitch. I think it takes a hit, and I don't know right now who that athlete would be that would slide into that space, but I think losing LGP would affect chemistry.
It would affect the way the team operates currently. Doesn't mean that it couldn't be replaced. Not talking with a replacement player, with somebody else stepping up and being kind of that leader. It's anytime you have a player like LGP, it hurts to lose them. But again, this is the nature of the game. This is the nature of where Atlanta United is. When you go and basically tell the world, look, you guys didn't think much of this player, and we did, and he has shown it, and, oh, now you want to come get him. Okay, you're going to have to pay. It's part of the deal, and it's going to happen. And I think Felipe Cardenas has been very clear in reminding all of us of this, in that Leandro's long-term vision is to play for the Argentine national team. Up until now, you've not had a player represent Argentina playing from MLS. Now, Pity Martinez could change that conversation immediately. And I kind of wonder if Leandro might want to wait that out a little bit, because you're going to have some eyes on Atlanta because of Pity now, and they're going to notice Leandro. But he's in the last year of his deal, so this is a big time for him. You know, you got to get this one done right. Can you sign a deal now to commit to a long-term future? Okay, we don't know what the dollars available are. We don't know what he's asking for. He's on, according to the salaries that are out there, he's on just under $700,000. Okay, right now the TAM threshold is 1.53. That's a lot of room to keep him TAM, but give him a big raise if you have the money to do it. And I'm assuming, and I'm guessing, and this is a guessing game at this point, you have the discretionary TAM if you want to use it. I think. I don't know. I don't know if they've used it. If they haven't used it, we don't know. But I think with that influx, just guessing off of the other players that have come in, you probably have a little bit of wiggle room here if you're the club. But what number makes sense for both sides? And how much of the thought of Leandro wanting to play for his country and feeling like he can't do that from here, is that going to affect his desire to move? It's going to affect the next stage of his career for sure, because he's at that point where if he's going to break in, he needs to do it now. How important is that? And we don't know. And you can't really judge it based off American players because it is a little different here. And I think it's a little bit different for him because I don't know if he thought he would have that opportunity before he came to Atlanta. You know, he was at Estudiantes. He hadn't had a great time at River in the first team. He wasn't looking like a guy who should be considered for the Argentina national team. Well, the 2 years we've seen here in Atlanta, he has that ability. Now, can he make that jump? What does he have to do to get their attention? These are the things that play into this decision that make it difficult. He's a player that, I've said all along, I think he could be the next captain of the club. But is the right deal going to be there to keep him? And there's so many moving parts. It's really hard to say right now. You have other players that are linked to deals too. Villalba is linked to deals. Escobar is linked to deals. That's going to continue. I think, honestly, every window going forward, this is going to be a conversation. Now, there are differences between rumors linking to deals and an actual negotiation. You always have to keep that in mind. Just because a rumor pops up doesn't mean that a deal is being talked about, doesn't mean that a deal is imminent, doesn't mean that any discussions ever even happened. So you have to keep those things in mind, and you can't overreact to every rumor that pops up. But Atlanta United being on the world stage, this is the other part of it. You can go and buy players like an Almiron, like a Barco, like a Pity, and spend that money. Flip side is you're an absolute known quantity now, and when you have talent that people say, oh, you know what, he's going into the last year of his deal, we can get him on a good deal now, let's do it. You're going to have clubs come calling. That's the flip side. And that's a good place to be. It's not a bad thing. It's part of the game. It's how you continually refresh your squad and bring in revenue and grow. It can be a little painful at times, though. And we'll have to see how this one goes down. But that was the interview from the AJC yesterday. LGP not ruling out anything with Boca Juniors. He said maybe his people are talking to Boca. Maybe there's conversations going on. He's focused on Atlanta right now. But if that's the business decision that everybody makes, he's okay with it. So we'll see what happens.
And that's what transfer windows are all about. And when you're a success, people come knocking on your door. And that's the beauty of having this brand that they've wanted to build from the absolute beginning. You have success, you're getting noticed, you're bringing in big name coaches, you're bringing in players, you're getting players who are not as big a name, then they get noticed, and then you're having conversations with teams across the ocean about it. So this is all a part of growing into the global sport and being that global player. So this is the first transfer window where you're having Atlanta United players, plural, being looked at, sought after, what have you. This is just a fact of life going forward. This is the way that this is going to be. You win, people knock on your door. And I know that fans of Atlanta United players, certain players, doesn't matter who we're talking about, there's always going to be that attachment. And if they want to move on to better their career and put themselves in positions where they want to play for their national teams and they think it will better their position to do so, that's what this is going to be. It's just all a part of growing. And right now, I don't want to call it terrible twos, but it's all part of growing in the sport.
A couple things from Tafka's post that we need to dig into a little bit. The 2018 TAM salaries based off base salary. Brad Kazan was at $640,000. McCann was $560,000. Nagbe was $605,000. LGP was $650,000. Tito was $685,000. Says McCann solves a lot of problems. I mean, McCann's eating up right there $60,000 of TAM, and this year that would be, depending on if there's a raise or not, $30,000 of TAM. That's not going to solve many problems, to be honest, at all. It's not going to solve much of anything. New additions who could be on TAM, Breck Shea. Tafka says probably. Ivis Galarsup was pretty adamant that it was a much lower deal than the $700,000 he was on before. I don't think he's on a TAM or GAM deal. I don't think he's going to be a problem at all. Dion Pereira, probably due to transfer fee. I don't think he paid much of a transfer fee. Watford didn't report anything like that. They didn't say it was a free transfer, but he's not going to be on a big salary. And I don't think you paid, because you probably got him on minimum 3 years because you want to see what he can turn into. I don't think you paid more than, 1.5 times 3. You didn't pay more than $4.5 million to bring him in. So I don't think he's going to fit into a TAM deal. Tafka says, Gressel, LGP, Remedi, Nagbe need raises. We don't know contract lengths. I would assume Gressel is at the end of a contract or going into an option year. LGP, we know, is in the last year of his contract. Remedi, just brought in last summer. We don't know what his deal is. You don't just start handing out raises because you like somebody. It is a business, and you do have to look at cap space and all of that. So Remedi was just brought in. It's probably a little bit early for him to get a raise this season. Nagbe, we don't know the length of the deal. McCann off the books would solve two of these raises. McCann, and I think it's pointed out later in the conversation that McCann, you're still going to replace him. So you're going to add some salary in replacing him. It doesn't solve the raises straight away. So that's the stuff. I do agree that with the yearly TAM, discretionary TAM, you've got stuff to work with. It looks like it's there. We don't know for sure, but it looks like they're in pretty good shape on TAM because you're talking about the biggest guy right now based off last year that ate up TAM for you, and could have been GAM too. Let's not forget, you can use GAM in the same ways. You can't use TAM in the ways you use GAM. You can use GAM in the ways you use TAM. Yeah, well, there'll be a test.
I was going to say
Tito. I mean, it was $185,000. That was the most you spent on TAM last year on a player's salary. Now, there were trades, there were other things that happened. We don't know the full complement, and it just goes back to that problem. That's just frustrating that we don't know that, so we're all kind of throwing numbers around and guessing and this and that. I do think it's very important, though, if you just take somebody off your books, Chris McCann, for example. Okay, you need a player who can play some left back, because you have Bello, You have Hernandez. You have Shea. It's always good to have one more. You need a player who can play, honestly, not in the same role, but you're going to need depth at center back, center mid, left back if you move on from Chris McCann. 2, you got to find somebody to move on from Chris McCann with. Somebody's going to need to take him on because he is under contract. And this is all assuming you want to do that. You might not want to do that. So then you might be thinking of other ways to do this. It's not as simple as I like player X, I want to give him a lot of money. I don't like player Y, I want him to disappear. It's never that simple. So when we have these conversations, we're going to try to cover it from all aspects. So we know as much as we can about, okay, what's realistic and what's not. And that's where we always want to keep the conversation as best we can. Let's take a break, come back. More on a Tuesday Thoughts edition of the show. Tweet at us at Soccer Down Here. We'll be right back.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinsky of Apolinsky & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. SDH, January 29th edition, Tuesday Thoughts. All the thoughts appear to be on the transfer window and rumors and innuendos and all kinds of stuff, so we will keep it here. Tofka comes back at me with saying that McCann doesn't use up a lot of TAM, but he uses a ton of cap space. I'm going to, again, say you don't know how much cap space he uses. You don't know how much TAM or GAM is being used to buy his number down. Now, as we've pointed out, you have, looks like, a good bit of TAM and GAM to work with. $530,000 with TAM and GAM involved is not a ton of cap space. You can't think of the cap as $3 million and not factor in TAM and GAM. Because honestly, all TAM and GAM is salary cap extension. It's an extension cord for your salary cap. So you have to think of it as more like 7, 8, 6, somewhere in that ballpark of all the TAM and GAM that you could possibly have in a season. That's your true salary cap. Chris McCann's not eating up very much of that. I know people have had an issue with Chris McCann, and it's just like the issues with Barco because Barco was a big transfer fee. McCann's on a bigger salary than what he has given you so far. I'd agree with that. But trying to run him out of town, and I absolutely disagree that Breck Shea is the replacement for Chris McCann. Breck Shea can't play center back or defensive midfield or as an 8. He's not that player. He is a left-sided player. He will play left wing, left back. You can throw him up top in a pinch because he's tall. That's it. Just because he's tall, he can't play center back. He's not a defensive midfielder. He's not an 8. So he's not that replacement for McCann. Now, you might have to replace McCann with a couple of different players if you decide to go there. But don't think of the cap as $3 million. You got to think of the cap with all of the allocation monies combined into it. And Chris McCann's not that big of a hit. I'm going to let you guys continue. Thomas Jawin, Tafka. I'm sure Trains might be cheering Tafka on in the Chris McCann.
I think there's some egging here.
So, and okay, now, God, I feel like Paul Tenorio at this point. Thomas Jawin, I might have said this wrong. He said, I may have misunderstood what you were saying about Tito Longshoe, but you cannot combine GAM and TAM in any deals except trades within MLS. I know that, and I wasn't saying that. What I was saying was you could have used GAM to buy Tito Villalba's deal down underneath the designated player threshold, not TAM. You can use GAM in the exact same ways that you use TAM. You can't use TAM in all of the ways that you can use GAM. That's the important thing here. TAM is specifically for players making more than the designated player threshold up to $1.5 million. GAM is used for those things plus a bunch of other things. So GAM, for example, if you're up against the cap, you sign a guy to a $400,000 deal, you can use GAM to buy it down to $150,000 and get him under a cap and get your team under the cap. You can't use TAM in that way. But in Tito's case, you could use GAM to buy him down underneath the threshold to whatever. I think sometimes we think like, oh, you're just going to buy them down to $500,000. You could buy them down all the way to $150,000 if you want to, if that gives you more cap space, and that's what you need. So this is the confusion. We don't know. We don't know on Tito's deal these questions. We don't know how much GAM or TAM was being used to buy his number down. We don't know what his cap number is because we also don't know the transfer fee, so we don't know that part of it either, which is another question. We don't know the length of his deal either. So there's a lot of things we don't know. That's why this is so difficult to do, and it's why I always caution you guys as we're talking about this. Don't think in absolutes about, well, it has to be X or it has to be Y, because there's so many things that we honestly do not know when we're talking about these situations. So I don't know. That's basically where I'm at. We'll have to see how you handle this. Let's do talk in general terms, John. As you get into this stage with Atlanta United, it's year 3. You've had a lot of success. You have a lot of players who have outperformed their initial contracts, and you have a lot of players whose contracts are coming to an end, whether it's this year, next year, 18 months, we don't know. This is going to be tricky to be able to keep this group together. And honestly, I don't think it's going to be possible to keep this group as currently constructed together. I think you're going to have to see some changes just because guys need raises, and there's not always enough money to give everybody the raise.
And if one of those players, and I'm speaking in the absolute most generic sense, if a player or if a team comes to Atlanta United and says, we will give you amount of money X, possibly bordering on obscene amount of money X for this player, it would be poor business for Atlanta United to hang up the phone. So once again, as a part of that growth curve, these rumors, they're going to be here. They're always going to be here. Not just in transfer windows, but they're going to be here. And you're going to see players, probably fan favorites, that are going to be attached to teams on this planet and every other planet. And they're going to have numbers attached. And it's going to be up to that player as to whether or not they're wanting to take that financial jump and added responsibility that goes with it. So it's part of the anticipation of the growth of success. You have a team that wins. You have players that play parts. They sit there and it's like, okay, I want to see what I'm worth on the open market. It's the bottom line as to how things are. So it doesn't surprise me, and it will not surprise me, that the rumors will continue to increase. the number of rumors will continue to increase. The number of players attached to these rumors will continue to increase. It's just going to be a fact of life for all of this. So I would prepare every Atlanta United fan going forward that odds are your favorite player is going to be attached to a rumor that's going to have a lot of money attached to it. Our thought here is to sort out the chaff. Go with legitimate sources. Don't attach yourself to a rumor from a blog site, A, B, C, D, or E. Go for the honest information. Go for real sources when you're looking at these things. But these things will pop up.
Yep, they will. And I have a headache now from talking about Tam Gam and Chris McCann and his total cap hit and all of it, because I don't think you're moving on from Chris McCann this year, guys. And I don't think it's a critical juncture to where we need to be freaking out about it either. I really don't. It's not, yes, it is a number and it is a portion of your cap, whether you're using Gam, Tam, or whatever to buy it down. Your cap is bigger than you think because of all of that possible Gam and Tam, and his percentage of it is not that big. You also have a lot of guys who are on this roster and can contribute, I think especially this year, when you start looking at some of these homegrowns who are not hitting your cap at all. So it's hard to think about this stuff because we don't have all the information, but you also have to understand that there's more flexibility than you probably know about in it because of all that Gam and Tam and how it buys a cap down. Chris McCann's not keeping you from re-signing Leandro Gonzalez-Perez. Chris McCann's deal is not keeping you from doing that. If you want to argue that it is because of sheer numbers, that's fine. But that's not how it works because you have guaranteed contracts. You have to find somebody to take him off of your hands if you want to do that. There's no guarantee that happens. It's not as simple as if A, then B. And you'll be better off if you think about it broader that way, because you'll drive yourself crazy if you don't. Because then you start saying, well, this guy's keeping my favorite player from being here, or the guy that I think should be here. This guy's the problem. He's the enemy. And no, it's not the case. You don't win MLS Cup. I don't think you are in the Supporter Shield race. You're not the number 2 seed, possibly. Now, NYC did kind of implode. But you don't finish the way you finished if you don't have Chris McCann playing valuable minutes for you at left back last year. You don't. It's just a fact. He gave you some flexibility as well to play 3 in the back at times before you trusted Miles Robinson or wanted to move Jeff Larentowicz to the back line. His flexibility had a lot of benefit to this team. Was it $560,000 of salary benefit? Don't know. You'd have to sit down with the front office, and they're the ones who make that decision, not us. I think it was close, probably not quite. Now, going forward, can you weather that number? Again, it's not just as simple as saying, well, no, I can't, so adios. There's a contract. So you got to find somebody to do a trade or a transfer with. It's not as simple as just if A, then B. It never is in these situations. So just as best as you can, because we all get passionate about it, keep that in mind. We will try to explain it as best we can, which we don't know all the information either. And it's my biggest frustration about the way this stuff goes with MLS, because it's really hard to have these conversations from an educated perspective, because we're not educated in this area, because we're not allowed to be, because we don't have all the information. So we'll do the best we can. Thanks for all the discussion. We will continue it as we go. Don't worry about that. We're going to take a quick break, come back and reset for hour number 2 after this.
Today's show is presented by Apelinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm going to let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Quick reset before we get into hour number 2 on a Tuesday Thoughts. And let's reset with Wakatata Flames question. Joseph has accomplished so much in the first 2 years, plus a championship, plus a long-term contract and a love for the city. Do you think Atlanta Sports has ever had a safer player's jersey purchase for a fan after 2 seasons? Maybe Chipper. Chipper would be in that, for sure. I mean, he came in...
Dominique.
Wasn't Chipper's first year the strike year? First full year? And then
yeah,
95?
I was going to say, because he blew out his knee in spring training that first year, didn't he?
Yeah, that was 93. So, yeah, I mean, Dominique's first 2 years were good, but I don't know if you could have predicted what he turned into.
Yeah, 8 games in 93, injured 94, first full year 95.
Yeah, I mean, after the first 2 years of Michael Vick, a lot of people bought those jerseys, and you would have absolutely thought that, yes, you should be buying that jersey, and I bought that jersey, and then we all know what happened. Well, honestly, what happened next was he broke his leg in preseason in year number 3, which was very bad. I saw way too much. Oh, man, who did we see? Doug Johnson, Kurt Kittner.
Uh-huh.
I think that was it that year. I think it was those 2 guys. Kurt Kittner.
You had to bring back Kurt Kittner references on this show.
Well, he couldn't throw the ball more than 20 yards. I think I could throw it further than him. But, hey, he made money playing in the NFL, and I sure didn't. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Atlanta sports fans' safest player jersey purchase after 2 seasons.
Safest player.
Well, you're going to have that jersey for a while. Yeah. So that would be Joseph would absolutely be in that conversation. Think about it. Let it marinate. Share your thoughts on it with us on Twitter at SoccerDownHere. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student-athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinski of Apolinski & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Welcome back. Hour number 2. Soccer Down Here, Tuesday Thoughts edition of the show. Jason Longshore, John Nelson with you this morning. Lots of rumor and innuendo and stuff to talk about with silly season. Atlanta United, Miguel Almiron is being shopped around Italy, it appears. Inter Milan is now in the sweepstakes. Our friend Nick Alifi from Soccer Over There is not a fan of that one so much. I was trying to get his exact quote on it. He did not care for it, really, at all, because Inter's a little bit of a mess at the moment. He says Inter wouldn't be the best option for Miggy. If they fire Spalletti and bring in Antonio Conte, it could be problematic for him. Yeah, I mean, I would just say I'm not going to get into the tactics of Conte versus Spalletti and this and that. I think just the issues that Inter is in right now, if they're thinking about doing this in third place, really kind of struggling in the second half of the season that's just started, could be a tough spot to walk into and a lot of pressure to deal with. Napoli would be a little different. And I think Carlo Ancelotti is known as a player's manager. He's known as a manager. He's not really like married to fixed tactics. He's going to adjust based off what's best with the group that he has. So adding a player like Miguel Almiron, and I think adding his ability to be an 8 would be great for a situation like that. I think he would do best in Italy if the right deal is there for him. Now, we don't know numbers if Italy's going to be able to pay the same type of money, but right now Newcastle's not agreeing to pay that money either, so we'll see what happens. And again, according to the Northern Echo out of Newcastle United is not willing to up its offer as of now. It's about £5 million apart from what Atlanta United wants. Newcastle has agreed to personal terms with Miguel Almiron, and that's been reported multiple places. Italy, you don't have an official offer yet from anybody, and I don't think you have that agreement on personal terms as of yet either. So there is work to be done, and it's going to continue all the way through the transfer deadline. I don't think anything happens today. Maybe late tomorrow. Probably Thursday. That's what we're looking at. So, yeah, it's going to be fun, let me tell you. And then all the other rumors that are out there. Now Boca Juniors chasing Leandro Gonzalez-Perez. Boca's window to add players does not close until February 20th. So keep that in mind. It's not the same transfer deadline that it is for Europe and selling Miguel. That doesn't apply to anybody going to Argentina. Tito Villalba was linked to Boca at one point as well. He has also been linked to Club America. Their window closes Thursday. Club America is still chasing Kaku as well. We'll see what happens with the Red Bulls on that one. I think that's all at the moment. And you could have Paul Pogba's brother coming to Atlanta United, a center back, 28 years old, Guinean international. He would be available on a free. He would take up an international slot, but he would not cost you a transfer fee. Don't know what kind of money he would command. He was about to sign with Elche in Spain, according to reports, and he has decided to leave that and come to Atlanta. These are all reports at this point. This is from L'Equipe. It's only going to get crazier between now and dinner time on Thursday.
Right. And total slots that Atlanta United has international right now is 8.
Yeah. No. We're not going to take it from arguing about TAM and GAM and designated player slots and loans and transfers to getting into international slots. That'll get worked out. We're not.
Well, I know
even,
it'll get worked out. I'm just
even,
saying how many.
Don't even
right.
bring it to the conversation. We've had enough to deal with on this. I'm not going to get into international slots at this point. It'll be fine. It'll be okay.
Not disagreeing with you, counselor. Just wanted to get the numbers.
Don't even bring it up. It doesn't matter.
All right.
It could be 70 billion. It doesn't matter. International slots won't be a problem here.
That's a lot of GAM for 70 billion players.
International slots and GAM have nothing to do with one another. Don't confuse people, sir. Please.
Wasn't.
It's hard enough as it is out on the streets.
All right. Just trying to figure out who the international players were under contract.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Not even worth the conversation because it'll be just fine. International slots won't be an issue. They never are.
I was stipulating to the tail end of your sentence going into this particular part of it.
Okay.
Understanding everything was going to be fine.
Okay. You've opened the door. Give me a second. We'll walk into the door and probably slam our head into the door if we can while we're at it. Your international players right now under contract for Atlanta United. You have 8 slots. You have 10 players. Miguel Almiron, Ezequiel Barco, Franco Escobar, John Gallagher, Julian Gressel, Leandro Gonzalez-Perez, Jose Hernandez, Dion Pereira, Eric Remedi, Gordon Wild. Those are your 10 players under contract as an international. 8 can be on your roster. Today, you would probably see either Gallagher or Pereira along with Wild loaned to ATL UTD2. Your roster compliant.
There you go.
That's it. So don't bring international slots up into it anymore, please. It's okay. It's going to be just fine.
Yes. Not in dispute.
I'm trying to see who might be the worst one when it comes to international slots. Chicago's got 11 guys for 8 slots, and I think they have 10 because I think they got rid of Del Greco and it hasn't been updated here, so they're okay. Everybody else is fine. International slots aren't as big of a holdup as you think. Somehow Vancouver's sitting on 10 international slots, and they have 4 international players at the moment. So,
it's like you're like if you're Vancouver and you're Mark Dos Santos, you're at like a +6.
Well, but they're about to sign players from all corners of the globe. The links of players to Vancouver right now is just insane when you start looking at where these players would be coming from. I think they're going to have every continent. They might be signing a Penguin. Every continent might be represented.
From Neptune, maybe?
That's not a continent. Neptune?
You said they're going from everywhere.
I was saying continents. I don't know of any players from Neptune in the league, John. Or Saturn, or Uranus, for that matter.
But I think Antarctica might be the only continent where they're not signing somebody from.
They're going to sign a Penguin. They're going to have a new mascot. They are talking about loaning out Anthony Blondell, the Venezuelan striker that they brought in last season on a multi-million-dollar deal, I believe, in terms of the transfer. Looks like he's headed out to Huachipato of the Chilean First Division. Vancouver's linked to adding 2 more forwards, internationals, to the roster. They had an Icelandic forward that was linked, but then there were questions about that deal getting done. It's wild when you go through. So if you're looking at Vancouver's subreddit and you start scrolling through, looks like they're going to bring in center back Eric Godoy of Colón in Argentina. Fairly young center back. The reports out of Argentina are that it's done. He's valued at £1.35 million, developed at Tigre, moved over to Colón. He's played a good bit this season, 25 years old. So you're going to add him. They're talking about a South Korean player, Hwang In-bom. I believe he is in the 2nd division in South Korea, but he is heavily hyped as a young up-and-coming talent. Bochum of Germany was interested, but they haven't made an offer. It looks like Vancouver's going to get him. Where else? A Tunisian defender, Jesser Kimri, is reportedly signed as well. It will be the true United Nations in Vancouver. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, short of your Penguin, I think every continent's covered, yeah?
I'm telling you, they're going to have a Penguin. They just signed a Brazilian, Lucas Fanuto. And Efrain Juarez, I believe, is still banned from training camp. So
yes,
we haven't heard anything else on him. I don't know if Vancouver knows where he is at this point, or if his ban from training camp has been lifted,
or if they care.
I don't know. It's crazy. I have no idea. All right, let's get back into the Twitter timeline because they keep coming. It's gonna be like this for the next couple of days, folks.
Do we want to go ahead and plug the proposed idea for Thursday?
Yeah, it's happening. Thursday afternoon, it will be a soccer down here, soccer over there, mega post show, whatever, crossover edition from 4 to 6. That will overlap the main windows in Europe, and if we have to go a little bit longer, we will.
Very special.
We'll be talking about we'll be talking about transfers in general, but we'll obviously be talking a lot about whatever happens with Miguel Almiron, any other Atlanta United deals that could happen in that window, any other MLS deals that could happen in that window. We'll talk about all of that on Thursday as the window is closing. So 4 to 6 on the app, on the website, on Spreaker. You can listen to myself, John. Hopefully we can grab Jarrett as he gets off work. Nick Alifi, anybody else we can grab into the party. That's what we're going to do. It's going to be ridiculousness. Okay. Questions, things on the Twitters on a Tuesday Thoughts edition of the show. Our buddy Chiefs coach Steve his abacus needs more beads or fresh batteries or something like that. So me too, Steve. I'm right there with you. ATL UTD fan number 1 shares one of the rumors out there about Boca Juniors and their interest in Leandro Gonzalez Perez. There's been multiple things out there about it. The one that Joe shares with us is from Herman Garcia Grova, which is a reporter and producer with TYC Sports and the Sportia program. It's a credible source, and according to Herman, confirms that Boca has increased a transfer offer for Leandro Gonzalez Perez. Doesn't mean it's going to get accepted, but that's what's out there. So this is going to ramp up. But remember, the Argentine window doesn't close till February 20th. So Thursday is not a deadline here to get a deal done for Boca Juniors. Boca is sitting currently in 6th place in the table. New manager after Guillermo Barros Schelotto left. Pressure, as always, because it's Boca. There's always pressure. Maybe increased pressure because of how the Libertadores finished for them, losing to the rival. That's a tough pill to swallow. You need to try to beat them in the league this season, and you are 6 spots ahead of them in the table right now. Boca has 2 games in hand as well over most of the teams ahead of them, and they're 14 points back from Racing, who's having an unbelievable season. They're going to need to reinforce. They've lost players. River's lost players as well. They're going to need some reinforcements. It doesn't surprise me that while top players from Argentina have been coming to MLS in larger numbers, now you're going to see some situations where Leandro Gonzalez Perez could see a nice raise to go back and be a top player at Boca. Doesn't mean it happens, but it could. That's the transfer window, and this is the spot where MLS is in this hemisphere now. MLS is a known quantity to Argentina after seeing Almiron, Barco, Pitti decide to come. Everybody has talked about how good of a league it is. It's viewed more often. It's looked at with more respect. Not complete respect, but more respect. So now when you're looking to make a deal, you might find a good deal in MLS in buying a player from there. And especially a player with familiarity of the Argentine Superliga. So I get it. It makes a lot of sense. I just wonder what the magic number is going to be to get a deal done here. Because I don't think it's going to be an easy deal for anybody to swallow, because I think Leandro is generally happy here, and I think Atlanta United's very happy with him. But going into the last year of your contract, we don't know where those contract talks have been. We don't know what numbers are being talked about, if they're realistic, if they're not realistic, and what the valuation could be. We don't know these things just yet. So Boca being interested in LGP doesn't surprise me. We'll see if a deal gets done.
And at the same time, you want to do your players a solid, much
You
like
do.
you're trying
That's
to.
a big part of it.
And that's the thing, is that your reputation amongst front offices is grown because of who you've attracted, Miggy, Barco, PT. But at the same time, if a player wants to be in a location, regardless of if it's going home or not, but if they want to continue to advance their career in their own mind, you don't want to stand in their way. And that's the other aspect of all of this that I think folks have to understand.
Is that TYC calling you, John?
Yeah, it is. TYC's calling, and cool. The boss got there first. Excellent. But yeah, you have to do your guys a solid, because it not only affects your relationships within your roster, but within the sport itself, if you want to deal players down the line, and if you want to continue to have these kind of negotiations and continue to advance your club, knowing that rollover is going to happen.
Yeah, it's that's a big part of it. That's a really good point, because you do want people when they leave to speak highly of your club, because you're gonna have a time where there is a young player coming up from Boca, and an offer will be made by Atlanta United to bring him in. And if Leandro Gonzalez Perez is there, and he is asked, because he would be, well, what did you think of your time in Atlanta? Did you like it? And he says, yeah, they were great to me. They treated me right. When I had this opportunity to make a lot more money, they did not stand in my way. They took care of me. I would highly recommend you make that move. That it carries a lot of weight. So I think that's why the Carlos Carmona deal went down the way it did. That's why deals like this could happen, because it does spread the gospel in some ways about Atlanta's a good place to be, and they're going to take care of you. They're not going to be greedy. They're going to look for the right deal for the club and for the player, and they treated me with respect. So I think these things are going to happen. Josh Eisenberg is now throwing a wild rumor about Julian Gressel getting a green card. If he leaves the California camp for personal reasons for a couple days, you might be right, Josh. I don't think it happens that fast, though. And Julian Gressel's been the one about the international slot issue. Gressel and a green card, yes, he just got married. It's not instant that you immediately get a green card. I think there is a time period that you have to wait through to get that green card. And I want to say 6 months, but I could be completely imagining that. I think there is a little bit of a waiting game, though. But we don't know where he was in line for a green card anyway. It could have been close to getting one before the marriage. Who knows? He'll get one, I think, soon, but it might not be that fast, Josh.
10 to 38 months. Total wait time for a marriage-based green card ranges from 10 to 38 months, depending on whether you are married to a U.S. citizen or green card.
Yes. So I thought it had gotten faster than that, but maybe not. So wherever he was in the process before might actually end up being faster. So the marriage might not have anything to do with it.
If your spouse is a U.S. citizen and you currently live in the U.S., it's 10 to 13 months.
That's not what I'm saying. I think 10 to 38 months might be slower than whatever application he already has in the hopper for a green card, is what I'm saying. But I thought it had actually gotten a little bit faster for marriage situations. But who knows? Again, that's another one. As bad as GAM and TAM and all that is, I am definitely not going to try to figure out the immigration system in any way whatsoever.
Nope.
Not even trying.
Nope.
So I got nothing. I'm just going to throw my hands up and say he'll get one when he gets one, and it'll happen. Just don't know when. But the international slots won't be an issue, John. I promise you.
No. And it will surprise us when it happens, because it won't have surprised us when it finally does happen.
No.
Because of how it's happened in the past.
No surprises. It'll happen. Because now we know it'll happen because of the marriage. Like there's nothing stopping it from happening now. We just don't know when it's going to happen. So that's the biggest thing about it. It'll be there at some point. Other rumors around the league, and the biggest one right now is Toronto. So Bill Manning, the club president, was on TSN 1050 radio this morning. He said that talks with Giovinco haven't progressed as the club would have hoped. They've offered him a deal that would keep him in the top 5 to 6 of MLS salaries. He hasn't received any emails or texts overnight, so nothing new on the transfer out front. I guess nothing new on the contract acceptance front either. But that's a pretty decent offer. I didn't know if he would be in that category with a new deal from Toronto. I honestly did not think he would get that type of number.
But, how much of it is wrangling of cap and incentive and all of those elements, and how much of it is actual dollars versus stuff that could be dollars.
Well,
so
okay.
That's...
Now let's try to strive to be factual in our conversation here.
Agreed.
Wrangling about cap would have zero effect on this because he is a designated player and he would sign another designated player deal. So, nope, cap has nothing to do with it. Incentive-based compensation, yes, could factor in, but we don't know. But when you look at the top paid players in the league last year, Giovinco was number 1 at $7.1 million in total compensation. I mean, if you go down to number 5, that is Giovanni Dos Santos at $6 million. I don't think there's any way you're going to be able to keep him in that type of figure. I don't know if Bill Manning is up on his current MLS salaries, because if you go down to number 10, Diego Valeri, $2.38 million is his guaranteed compensation. I'm thinking you're a little more in that category.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can sign him to a long-term deal at his age for $6 million plus. I think that would be a very bad move for Toronto if you decided to do it.
Because what was the Al Hilal number? 3 years at €10 million?
It was €10 million 3 years, and that was supposed to have been a good number. So I'm thinking he was offered in the $2 million range.
And that to me would make
player kind of number.
Yeah, that to me would make a lot more sense because he's 32.
Yes, he's got some miles on his legs too. So
yeah, so I would look for something in top 10 and not top 5, because dropping only $1 million for someone who's 32 years old and has a lot of tread worn off of the tires. I mean, I would look more toward that Valeri number as opposed to anything else.
Yeah, I think that'd be risky. Let's take a break. Let's reset. Tuesday thoughts. Share your thoughts, whether it's Atlanta United roster related, MLS rule related, other MLS team related. Share your thoughts with us on Twitter at Soccer Down Here. We'll get you caught up on the rest of the news and rumors around the league after this.
Today's show is presented by Apelinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here. January 29th. 2 days away from the European transfer window closing.
Rumors
Thankfully.
down here.
Rumors down here, innuendos down here, all of the things down here. That's what we do. Rumors to keep up with. Nani, we talked about this on Soccer Over There. Nani is currently at Sporting Lisbon, reportedly shown an interest in Major League Soccer. The salary might be the hang-up here. I guess there's a couple clubs that he is interested in, and them being able to pay the money that he would want to pay or want to make is tough. Nani, 31 years old? 32? A little bit older than I thought. I don't know what he's got left in the tank. I mean, I haven't seen him at Sporting Lisbon, so I don't know what he's looking like these days. This is one of those players like this are linked at different times, and I think it's only going to increase. And clubs and fan bases, I think, always fool themselves into, like, man, it's Nani. Everybody knows who Nani is. Nobody knows who Nani is. Like, hardcore fans know who Nani is, but it's like, oh, he's gonna sell so many shirts and tickets. No, it's really not. There's only a handful of players that are truly in that crossover category that will appeal to non-hardcore fans of the sport and or the club. I don't think Nani's in that. I think he's a good player. I think he could be a valuable piece for a team if they need him and if he is still playing at a good level. But I don't think he's going to change the paradigm for any club in the league. I really don't. So where do you value him? That's the question. Is he a TAM guy? Absolutely, I would think. Is he a designated player? That's where it gets tough. That's where I don't know. And I don't know if I would risk it on a player of his age and what we saw of him before going to Lisbon. He looked like he fell off a little bit.
Went from Valencia on a free back in July after being loaned to Valencia from Lazio. So, and he's in his 16
bouncing around clubs.
Yes. And in his 16 matches at Sporting, it's 7 goals, 3 assists, and 16 all competitions, 16 games.
Yeah, I mean that's not bad. Josh Eisenberg and Thomas Jewin are going to figure out the immigration status for us. TGEWIN on Twitter. If you have immigration questions related to contracts and soccer players, go ahead and throw them at Thomas. He's not an expert on the field, but he has friends who've gone through a variety of permutations of visas, green cards, and citizenship. So our official immigration consultant is Thomas Jewin here on SDH.
Yes.
But Josh Eisenberg has a good point. And again, we don't know when the process started. So Gressel's been a U.S. student/resident since 2013. You can apply for a green card at between 4 to 5 years. It takes 6 to 12 months. Add in a little Atlanta United magic and an American Bride. Voila. 48-hour absence from preseason for personal reasons. It's coming. So Josh's bold proclamation for 2019 is that Julian Gressel gets a green card before the season starts. We can go ahead and mark that one down. You can write that one down in the book, John.
Second bold prediction of the day.
Yes. Mine is Minnesota United makes the playoffs. I think it's going to happen. Houston is trying to make the playoffs this year, and they are linked to Honduran defender Minor Figueroa, 35 years old, spent the last 3 years with FC Dallas. Hey.
Yeah.
Hey. I don't know about that. If he's going to play center back and you're not going to ask him to move at anything resembling top speed, possibly. Because he can't play on the outside anymore, and you don't need him to. At left back, you have DeMarcus Beasley at 36, who has far more speed than Minor Figueroa. You also signed Adam Lundqvist. Remember, that was one that happened late last year, got announced anyway. 24-year-old Swedish left back who would probably be the understudy to Beasley in the long term. Maybe they split time this year. At center back, yeah, you might be thinking about it. You have Alejandro Fuenmayor, 22-year-old young Venezuelan center back in Houston. Had some flashes of good play last year, also had some boneheaded plays as well. You've got two young Americans in Sam Junkwa and Eric McHugh. You don't know what they're going to factor into. And you signed a 28-year-old Slovenian center back, Kiki Struna. That's what you have at center back. AJ De La Garza might move in and play as a center back if he's not playing at right back. Chris Duval, you added, who could be the right back. It might not be a bad move. It just depends on the expectation. I mean, if you're getting him at a low number and he's going to be a rotation guy and maybe a guy that some of these young center backs like Fuenmayor and Junkwa and McHugh can learn from, okay, I could maybe swing it. But if you're going to ask him to play 30 matches, I think you're not going to like it if you're Houston. I just don't see that happening. Let's look big picture for a minute in this segment. So we've mentioned it. Philadelphia's chief business officer, Tim McDermott, said in I believe it was a Facebook Q&A, that the union spend $3.5 million per year on the academy, the most in Major League Soccer. We don't know what Atlanta spends, but I would assume it'd be in that ballpark, just looking at how much they're doing on the academy side. Now, let's take that and compare it to our friend Charlie Boehm from Soccer Wire and MLSsoccer.com. He tweeted out last night, responding to a question, that he thinks there's 4 to 5 MLS clubs that have had conversations about closing their academy. And he said, as far as he knows, there's one who has specifically requested to do that. Right now, you can't. He also is expecting a change to the territory structure in the next 1 to 4 years. I kind of feel like these two things might go hand in hand. If you're going to let clubs do what they want on the academy and not have to have their own academy, you're going to have to open up the territories, because a club, if they decide not to have an academy, can't have any say over a geographic area, right? I mean, that wouldn't make any sense. Then you just have a dead spot in the map, and nobody wants that. So what do you think, John, about this? Because MLS at first didn't worry about academies. Then you had clubs start to dip their toe into it. Then the league mandated it. You had to have an academy. Now, maybe you're getting some pushback that, hey, we've invested in an academy for X number of years and we're not getting any return. Why do we have to do this if we don't want to? What do you think? Should the league mandate this?
I think that when you mandate something, you're always going to have that group of folks who are going to sit there and just kind of go into it kicking and screaming. But for me, when I look at teams and front offices who complain about, okay, so you mandated an academy and we haven't had any return, I view that as a you problem. If you haven't invested or haven't gotten the return that you're looking for, I think that speaks more as to the folks that you have hired internally looking for talent to build an academy. That's how I view that. If you're having academy problems and you don't think that you're getting rate of return, I think it's who you brought in and who you have bringing people in. So I understand the notion of folks wanting to get rid of their academies. And once again, I think I think you're doing a disservice to the sport here in the States if you want to do something like that. I think it's your prerogative to do it. But I also think that if you do that, then you're putting yourself that much farther behind everyone else if you don't. And I know that Will Parchman had a piece a handful of months ago ranking the academies and things like that. And, you know, I wonder who that particular squad is that wants to get rid of their academy. I think it's a shame that you want to do that, because I look at it, you know, come on, why not grow the game? But if you want to do it, I think that you should have just as much on the table to want to do that. If you want to cut off your nose to spite your face, I think that you ought to have the option to do that. But I think that you're doing the game a disservice if you do.
I think you could probably figure out who would want to get rid of it by which clubs have not signed many homegrown talents.
Yeah.
I think you could really figure it out that way. There's been a lot of talk that Portland would be one of those. Portland has 2 players that they have signed to homegrown deals from their academy. They made the trade last year to bring in Eric Williamson, who was a homegrown product of DC United. There's different parts of the country where it is more difficult. I do agree. Whether it's just smaller numbers, whether it's a lack of coaches, I don't know, whether it's the culture in that area, whatever it is. I also think the flip side is true in that there's nothing in the water in Vancouver that produced Alphonso Davies. Alphonso Davies was developed by the Whitecaps in a very intelligent way, prepared for his professional debut, got his professional debut, and then got his big transfer that has benefited the Whitecaps greatly, will potentially benefit them even more greatly if he hits all the incentives, and has benefited the league. You're going to have more of these. Tyler Adams is another one. You're going to have more and more, but you have to do it right. And if you don't know how to do it, that is a you problem. That is your issue. If you can't do it correctly, you're not hiring the right people, you don't have the right setup, there's something that you are doing that is wrong. Because there's no reason why the Portland Timbers should have only produced 2 designated players. Yes, or 2 homegrown players. Because, yes, Portland doesn't have the same number of youth players as Atlanta or Los Angeles. Okay, fine. But culturally, what do we always hear about Portland? Oh, it's Soccer City, USA, and the Timbers have got such deep roots, and it's soccer everywhere. Well, then why aren't you producing better domestic, local talent? You're not doing it correctly. It's just that simple. You're not. Yeah. You're not hiring the right people. You're not putting the right emphasis on it. You're not doing it right. It's just that simple. So the bigger question to me is, should Major League Soccer mandate that clubs do this?
Right.
I don't know what other countries around the world do. Mexico had increased their emphasis on youth development, and it's paid off in a big way for their youth national teams, and you would think that it will pay off in a big way for their senior national team. I think it's paid off for the league as a whole. I think you're developing better talent. They've done it a little differently. They have a national league for their youth teams, and teams are mandated to fill U17s and U23s, and they play those games before the Liga MX games. It's taken as a big deal. It is a big deal. It's benefited the country's youth development. I think England has increased its emphasis on player development, and it's paid off with youth national team success. We'll see if it pays off with full national team success. We'll see if it pays off for the Premier League. MLS is in a situation where they are an independent business from U.S. Soccer. Their job is not to produce players for the U.S. national team. Is it their responsibility to do that? And that's maybe the bigger question here. I think it's their responsibility at a minimum to benefit the soccer community in their locales.
Right.
And if it is to do that through owning and operating an academy on a big scale, cool. If they don't choose to do that, I think there does have to be some kind of mandate from the league about what they do. Is it a partnership with existing youth clubs? Maybe that's the way to go in some situations, because you have youth clubs that are producing professional players. Fine with that. Is it coaching education? Is it committing time from your coaching staff or your technical staff or your playing roster to go out and work with local clubs? Maybe that's it. If you're not going to mandate academies, I think you do have to talk about specifics of how to benefit the youth game in your area. I think that has to be something that clubs take on as a responsibility. I really do. And I get the mandate side of it, how some clubs would push back on it, because, hey, they might say, you know what? we'd be better off to partner with clubs who are already doing it and combine that with going out and signing young talent from around the world and bringing them in at a young age and then selling them on. That's our version of youth development. A lot of clubs do that around the world. It's nothing new. So if clubs choose to do that instead, is that wrong? I don't know. It's a big question for MLS. I think the clubs do need to have that responsibility in their local markets, but maybe it's not in doing a full academy. If you're not seeing the return, one, I think you're doing it wrong, and you need to address that part first before you say, well, we're just not going to spend on this. But I think you do have to have a plan if you're not going to have an academy. I think there has to be something that the league approves in place of it. And that's the way I would go with it. But that's just me. Love to hear your thoughts. I think you're seeing clubs that are benefiting from the academy in big ways. And I think you're seeing some clubs that just don't really care that much. That happens too. So we'll see if it gets better, and we'll see how it changes, because it looks like it's going to. It looks like you are going to see some changes to the academy structures in the United States. The Development Academy is talking about the professional clubs breaking away, territory stuff going away at the MLS level. You're going to see things continue to evolve, and we'll see where they go and how U.S. Soccer and MLS get along in that process, because there could be some friction there. Let's take a quick break, come back. Tuesday thoughts from you after this.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA is a national nonprofit working to transform youth and high school sports so that every child has a positive character-building youth sports experience. PCA provides live and online workshops to train double-goal coaches whose first goal is winning and whose second, more important goal is teaching life lessons through sports. PCA also has workshops for parents and high school student athletes. For more information, please visit positivecoach.org.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinsky of Apolinsky & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's always motivating me to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Keyboard Cat, YouTube star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Start yours today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. SDH, January 29th, Tuesday Thoughts, as we're wrapping up 2 hours of madness, because that's what the silly season does to all of us. Academy questions and thoughts from you guys. Tafka says, if you can't get any return from an academy in this league after 5 years, then you suck at developing talent and need to hire new people. Agree with John. There's just nothing in the water that makes some parts of the country better than others in developing talent. It's coaching. It's culture. It's, history plays into it, sure, because that creates the culture, but it's the level of coaching. I think that's one of the biggest things U.S. Soccer has to work on, and this is from an MLS level and just a U.S. Soccer level. The level of coaching has to be better, and Rachel Affleck has a point on that. If there's a lack of trained coaches, that reflects back on U.S. Soccer. They need to make coaching accreditation more affordable. They have $150 million in the coffers. I think it's $4,000. Rachel, is that for the A license? It's expensive even before you get to that. And it's very restrictive. Like, to get to the A, I think you have to get approved. There's only a certain number each year. They're in not all over the country. They're only in certain parts of the country. It's very difficult if you want to be a highly trained coach and a highly licensed coach in the United States. It's not easy to do, and not everybody can do it. That needs to change. Completely agree. And where U.S. Soccer doesn't get that it needs to change, the individual clubs, and this can be MLS, USL, NWSL across the board, they need to help it change. And we've seen Atlanta United do the coaching courses for local clubs. That's great. That needs to happen more often, because coaching education is the biggest thing that will change soccer in this country from a talent perspective. If you have coaches, not just at the 13 and 14 and 15-year-old level, but at the 7, 8, and 9-year-old level, teaching the game in the right way, you're going to have better players, flat out. If you're able to develop those technical skills at young ages and not be worried about results and not be worried about, this kid's a left back at 6 years old. No, he's not. He's not. You shouldn't even have a left back at 6 years old. It should be, how many touches is this kid getting? Is he using both feet? Is he using the inside of the foot? Is he using the outside of the foot? Is he using the sole of the foot? Okay, cool. That's good. How many goals did he score? Nobody cares. These things need to be out there more. That's what's important. It's not about the way that the game has been taught at younger ages, because then you get that 6-year-old who then becomes a 9-year-old and doesn't develop the right technical skills because he wasn't taught that way or she wasn't taught that way, and you move up to a higher team because you're a good athlete. You're never going to develop the technical skills that you need to be world-class. Not every player is going to be world-class. We know that. But you can teach the game the right way at a younger age and still make it a lot of fun for the kids to play, but give those kids a better chance and a better foundation of skills to be successful down the road. U.S. Soccer needs to do more of this. $4,000 to be an A-licensed coach is crazy. All the restrictions of how to get to that level, it's crazy. There are so many roadblocks that keep so many talented coaches from going down that road and learning more about how to be an even better coach. It's got to stop. I'm totally with you, Rachel. And if U.S. Soccer can't figure out the mechanisms to do it, MLS clubs, USL clubs, NWSL clubs, everybody should be focused on doing more, because there are ways to learn and be a good coach and learn more about how to be a coach that shouldn't cost $4,000. You can read about coaching on your computer, your phone, your tablet right now. Where do you go to do that? That's the problem. There's not really like one specific avenue. Everybody has different opinions. You've got to factor through and figure out which ones are the right ones. That's difficult. U.S. Soccer should be stepping in there. United Soccer coaches can be stepping in there. MLS can step in there. Clubs can step in there and help, at a minimum, spread these philosophies and these things that are vital to developing the game for young kids. Make it more well known. It has to happen. Josh Eisenberg, John, has this. They shouldn't mandate, and it's talking about MLS, they should incentivize extra TAM or GAM, cap space, sell-on fees, which the sell-on fees, they have changed. You do get 100% of the transfer fee for a player who is a homegrown player who is transferred outside the league. Josh mentioned solidarity payments, even with Garber Bucks. That's really complicated, and that's one that I don't even want to try to take on at this point. The solidarity payments is in the legal system right now. There will be a resolution to it here shortly. I think we'll know more then. It's kind of pointless to dig into that at the moment. I don't think MLS can do it without U.S. Soccer doing it. That opens up a huge can of worms. But
right.
Incentivizing developing talent as opposed to mandating it. How do you feel about that?
Well, if you get into incentivizing, then you basically are trying to develop a rate card. And that could be just as sticky, because you sit there and say, okay, well, incentive equals what? Is it a per player incentivization, if that's a word that I just created?
Yes.
How do you gauge success and translate that into incentive and reward success, and I just used air quotes and I just put my hands in the air all over it. I think that trying to figure out the rate scale for academy success is a tricky slope, because if you have one player, let's just use Alphonso Davies as an example. If you have one player and it's Alphonso Davies, but then you have 4 or 5 players who are good, but they're not world changers, but it ends up being the same amount of incentivization. Let's say $8 million for one, $8 million for 4. What's the gauge there if it's one versus a bulk number? I think that trying to come up with a scale would be the tricky part in doing something like that.
Yeah, it's difficult, but I agree with the principle of it. I do the idea of incentivizing something more than mandating it, because then I think people see a direct benefit from investing in it. And Philadelphia investing 3.5, they don't have to invest 3.5. They're doing it because they have decided we're not going to go spend $15 million to bring in a player from Argentina. We're going to try to develop that player here. That's great. It's 3.5 a year versus 15. Flat out. You should be able to see a better return on that if you develop that type of player. Now, do you have the system to do it? How long till a truly MLS-developed player gets that deal? Alphonso Davies has pushed it right there. So 3.5 a year, you get one player per year that you sell for 3.5, and you've got your return. It's not crazy numbers, is it?
And no, I mean, it's not a crazy number. And I like the idea of incentivization overall. Just like I said, for me, it's trying to figure out your scale. And if your scale is X, great. How do you incentivize and how do you reward? And then that, for me, is it just straight cash, homie, or is it something else, or reinvestment that is mandated, or all of that stuff?
But it's MLS incentivizing. So MLS isn't going to give you cash for developing players. They're going to probably, I think, GAM would probably be the one, because that's generally been used in situations somewhat like this. In the current structure of MLS, I think GAM would be the easy way to do it. I think you give GAM for every player that is produced a small amount. I think you give GAM for every player that you have developed that plays 1,000 minutes in the league, that plays 2,000 minutes in the league, that's named to an all-star team. There's so like a scale. Yeah, I think that's what you do. It's a pretty easy thing to set up, and you play with it. It might the values might change a little bit over time, but I think that's the way to incentivize it. Let's take our final break, come back and wrap everything up after this.
Today's show is presented by Apelinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Final segment, Soccer Down Here, January 29th. Jason Longshore, John Nelson here with you this morning. Joe Bost is a little nervous about LGP possibly leaving. Feels okay that if Almiron or Barco leaves for the designated player spot, he's worried about LGP because he feels like the heir to Michael Parkhurst, and he doesn't want that much new right now, says LGP's the glue. Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with you. I think he is. I think he is that important right now, but you don't always get to pick when these things happen at a club level. And this would probably not be the time that you would pick for this to happen, but it might be what's happening. And you have to make a key decision on, because if he's in the last year of his deal, you've got a lot of things you got to factor in all together at the same time. You're about to go into CONCACAF Champions League. He would obviously be a key player in that for you. Can you replace him if you decide to move on? Yes, but how painful is that going to be? Okay. If you say, you know what, Boca Juniors, we can't do it right now. Well, when you get to that summer window, he's 6 months away from being out of contract. He could go ahead and sign a pre-contract with a club, walk on a free at the end of the season, adios. You could make a deal in that window, but you don't have a lot of leverage because the club could just say, you know what, we're just going to wait 6 months. We're going to go ahead and sign him, and he's going to finish the year out with you, and then he's going to come to us, and we're not going to have to pay you a thing. So you have no leverage. You're not going to get much of a transfer fee at that point to make the deal 6 months early. Then you're also betting on, if you decide to do that, the ability to re-sign him. And you're going to have to know that you're in that ballpark of, we can do this. We can sign this contract, and he will be with us for a good while. You have to be able to make that commitment. So it's a tough game right now when it comes to a player like LGP in the last year of his deal with this situation, with him being in demand. It's really tough to find the balance of the right decision to make going forward because there are so many different things at play. It's not a straight yes or no, I don't think. I think it's really difficult.
And once again, that's what this next couple of days, at least the first stage of this, is all about. And no team wants to be in a position where players are walking away, especially with investments that have been what they are these days. So, yes, it's another player to keep an eye on. Yes, it's a possibility. But once again, larger picture, that's what this is about, and that's what Atlanta United has become. Names are going to be out there. Just follow the train of where you're getting that information as to the level of the validity of any kind of a possible transfer. I mean, Wrestling down here on Twitter could throw out a bunch of things about players that would have no basis in fact. So for the next 2 days, at least in stage one of all of this, next 48 hours, 53 or so, just watch your sources and follow your sourcing when it comes to players and possible transfers. It's part of the deal.
Yeah, and out of Argentina, look for your TYCs. Those are going to be the not quite gold standard because nobody's perfect in these situations, but pretty close to it. So keep an eye on those. Keep an eye on everything going on because you've got, 48 plus 5,
6,
so 53, 54
yeah.
hours before the European window closes for the countries that are related to a potential move for Miguel Almiron. The Mexican window would close a few hours later on Thursday. The Argentine window is February 20th. So that one doesn't have to happen right now, but if Atlanta United is going to make a move, you would want it to happen as soon as possible because you might be looking at a player from Europe as a replacement. You might be looking at a transfer to bring in a replacement. You'd want to do that as soon as possible because February 21st, you're in competition in the CONCACAF Champions League. And if you're making a big change like this, you'd want to be in a position to be able to have that player integrate into the new squad really quickly. So it's not the same deadline as you're looking at with Miguel Almiron, but honestly, in reality, it's not that far off because of the schedule and because of your preseason and because of all the other things that factor in. So we will keep you posted as best we can. I think you should probably also keep an eye on Toronto because we don't know if Giovinco went back to the team hotel. That hasn't been reported. He went to go get his leg checked out because his agent wanted him to. Usually that type of thing happens around the time of a transfer or to force a transfer. So keep an eye on Toronto. I think keep an eye on New York or New Jersey with the Red Bulls and Kaku. Things have gotten a little quiet there. Lots of things to keep an eye on over the next couple of days. And we'll be doing our best to do that with you. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, well past Wednesday, taking your questions throughout the show. We'll try to catch up with Joe Patrick, with Felipe Cardenas this week as well, get their takes on all of the chaos that is ensuing. And we'll try to keep everybody calm as best we can. We'll try to keep ourselves calm, too. We'll try not to go nuts about international slots. I'll try not to anyway. I promise. Maybe. I'll try. I make no guarantees. But that's it for today. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks for all the conversation. It's been fun. Mucho plata, y'all.
Mucho plata, y'all.